All right, that is correct. We are going to rank the albums of Jinjer tier list style. And in this case, since they have a relatively short discography, we will be including the EPs. So let's dive right in with Objects in Mirror Are Closer Than They Appear in 2009. This is their only record with Max Fatulev on vocals. No Tatiana here yet. It's kind of more sort of generic metalcore riffs and overall style. There are some neat little like dual vocal moments that I enjoy. And already some dynamic moments too, which I was a little bit surprised by. I wasn't expecting to already start hearing those elements coming forward in their earliest material. Definitely not the most exciting thing, but neat to see where the starting point is. Not terrible, but definitely a shadow of what they will become. So something needs to come last. I'm going to go ahead and put it at D tier. If I was just giving it a flat grade, it would probably be like a C, but I want to leave space for these other albums. So let's move on to Inhale, Do Not Breathe in 2012, another EP. So this is their first release with Tatiana, and from the start, the guitar sounds much better, as does the production overall. It just has this fuller kind of presence to it. I'm already also hearing the like mathier kind of sixth guitars on Until the End and Exposed as a Liar, mixed with some As I Lay Dying too, I guess. Tatiana even looks kind of like Mikey in the music video with the flannel and the dreads. Speaking of which, they are just babies in that music video. It's amazing how much they've grown in a short amount of time, really. Tatiana's scream doesn't feel quite fully formed here, kind of frantic more in this place, but the singing sounds pretty solid, especially again on Exposed as a Liar. Plenty of soul already in her voice. Still more of a metalcore approach overall, kind of like early In This Moment was popping into my head. It's a surprisingly fun listen though, and even kind of technical at times. I headbanged quite a bit, but I still want to leave spots to the higher tiers for some of the later stuff that I like even more. So I'm going to put this one at C tier. All right, moving into full albums now. We've got their debut full-length, Cloud Factory, in 2014. They keep improving with each release. It was kind of fun to listen to them together in order and see that solid, just sort of steady progression. I actually do kind of like the production on the previous EP better. I'm not sure exactly what version of this I heard. Maybe it was just that one, I don't know. But the screams, though, sound way stronger. I am loving the layered harmonies too, and the ooh-oohs on Outlander. Another very fun banger of a track there. Songs are definitely getting groovier at this point too. A Plus or Minus has more than a little Lamb of God vibe to it, so definitely that their influences are shifting, it sounds like, at this point, and that groove metal influence cannot be denied, and particularly Lamb of God, those riffs for sure. Also the case with When Two Empires Collide. Awesome drumming here as well. Cool bass later on too on the former track again. Vocals do get a little too yowly for me on the title track, for my taste anyways. Glad they didn't move too much in that direction and they've refined since then, but some cool little jazz breaks already too, and Who Is Gonna Be the One gets pretty darn proggy. I was genuinely impressed with just what a solid debut this is. But again, there are still even better albums. I'm going to put this one at B tier. Next up, we have King of Everything in 2016. And this is where they really started to get traction as a band, especially with the video for Pisces going viral, of course. Just lots of music videos coming forward in general, which is a great marketing strategy at this point, really, for burgeoning bands out there. As long as you've got the good music to back it up too. You can definitely see the increased label support now with them being on Napalm, so higher production value, bigger budget. Tatiana really coming into her own here with her vocals across the board, and the lyrics are a little bit corny in places, like parts of Captain Clock in particular kind of make me laugh, even if the instrumentation is still really great. I do wonder if this studio kind of stifled their creativity a bit on this one, because it definitely feels a bit more straightforward, a little bit more confined. There's not as much experimentation, fewer risks taken. But on the flip side of that, it ends up feeling very focused and very consistent. Lots of bangers on here. Sit, Stay, Roll Over, Just Another, and then even deeper cuts like Under the Dome or Dip a Sail. That last one actually opens like an After the Burial track. And of course, I Speak Astronomy, which has some of the best songwriting and performances of the album for sure. I'm willing to guess that this and Pisces helped give the band enough clout regarding their more kind of dynamic and experimental side to have more free reign moving forwards. It's like these were a test and they passed with flying colors on those. I'm going to go ahead and put this album at A tier. All right, another EP, we've got Micro in 2019, and I feel like this is almost like the Broken EP in a way for Nine Inch Nails. It's this like transitional phase to a really big album. Definitely stretching more into the elements that made the last album such a success. I hear that experimentation coming back. Many of these tracks definitely became popular in the live rotation very quickly. It seems like Ape and Teacher Teacher in particular. I'm hearing more of the progressive and dynamic elements coming front and center. Some of these do swing a little too far in the other direction, I think, and can feel a bit unfocused and meandering, which is something that's been the case on later stuff too. I think Dreadful Moments in particular. Also, honestly, I kind of hate the chorus on Teacher Teacher. It's a shame because the rest of it is really great, those blast beats, seriously. And things can also get quite cinematic with Perennial. I'd say I'll split the difference and give this album a B. Or EP, rather. All right, then we have Macro in 2019 as well. Really enjoy this album. I feel like it's a great balance of the focus of the previous album with more of the experimentation on that EP. And let me just say that Home Back is easily the best track that they have ever written. This is just the great hard-hitting opener, and then the journey that it takes you on through so many different styles, all perfectly and seamlessly woven together. This is the side of Jinjer that I'm most excited to see more from in the future. Pit of Consciousness is another very strong track in this vein, albeit to a little bit of a lesser degree. On the Top is also a great opener with some serious groove and great transitions, super catchy vocals too. The Prophecy is a fucking banger. Probably their heaviest, and another great intro on this one. Probably their best drumming to date, I think. I love watching the video, it just looks like so much fun. Honestly, every song has something to offer, from like the ska and reggae parts of Judgment to the Russian lyrics on Retrospection, and I appreciate how concise it still managed to be in spite of that. For how expansive it gets, there's really very little to no fat to trim here, and all captured perfectly in the mix. The production is excellent. I think this is easily an S-tier album for Jinjer. And then that brings us to Wallflowers in 2021. So coming off of that one, I think it gave me pretty strong expectations for this new one, maybe even unrealistically so. That said, I think that overall that this one does manage to meet most of them, even if it's not quite the picture of perfection that I was hoping for. There are some really killer songs on here. Mediator is a banger of a closer with that intro going into the blast beats. Copycat is one of the best songs that they have written following up Home Back, I think. Wallflower is also almost like a Pisces Part 2. Really, the majority of this album is excellent, but it does have enough points here and there that detract from the overall consistency, that pull it down just a little bit, where I don't think it's quite as strong as Macro overall as a complete work. You can get my full thoughts on this album in its standalone review that I will link up here, but keeping it simple for this list, I would put it at A tier and maybe even in third place, just after King of Everything. That's tricky though, because they're sort of on the level but in different ways. Like, King of Everything is sort of more consistent and cohesive as a complete work, but Wallflowers is a little bit more mature and expansive with a lot more kind of impressive songs. Now, of course, this is the new kid on the block, so to speak, so my thoughts may change over time. Let me know down in the comments, how would you rank them? By the way, I do have a confession to make. I hate their band name. Like, I really do. I'm sorry, but I just think it really sounds dumb. And I don't like it. But that said, I feel like they've made it this